The man history remembers as Nikola Tesla is a figure often cloaked in myth, a name synonymous with genius and radical invention, yet frequently misunderstood. We often hear his name invoked in discussions about electricity, innovation, and even the future, but the true scope of his life, the forces that shaped him, and the profound impact of his ideas are far richer than simple legend suggests. In this deep dive, we will journey through the life of Nikola Tesla, from his humble beginnings in a distant corner of the Austrian Empire, through his tumultuous career as an inventor and visionary, to the enduring legacy of his work that continues to power our world and inspire new generations. We will explore the dreams he chased, the obstacles he faced, and the deep convictions that drove him to challenge the very fabric of scientific understanding. If you enjoy long, deep dives into lives and stories like this, feel free to like the video and subscribe for more. Nikola Tesla was born on the 10th of July in the year 1856 in the tiny village of Smiljan, located in the Lika region of what was then the Austrian Empire. Today, this area forms part of modern-day Croatia. His birth took place during a dramatic summer thunderstorm, a detail that later biographers would often cite as an early, almost prophetic, sign of the electrical genius he would become, though it was likely a simple, striking coincidence. This remote landscape, marked by its rugged beauty and the intersection of diverse cultures, provided the initial backdrop for a life destined for extraordinary scientific exploration. His father, Milutin Tesla, was an Eastern Orthodox priest, a man of profound intellect and a formidable presence. Milutin had been a gifted student, graduating with top honors from the seminary in the year 1845, and was known for his sharp memory, his poetic flair, and his commanding oratorical skills. He married Duca Mandic, a woman 25 years old at the time of their union, who, though lacking formal education, possessed an equally remarkable mind. Duca was renowned for her inventive spirit, her ability to craft tools and household items from scratch, and her exceptional memory, reportedly able to recite entire books of poetry. These contrasting yet complementary parental influences, one of rigorous academic discipline and spiritual guidance, the other of practical ingenuity and a vivid imagination, undoubtedly laid a complex foundation for young Nikola. From a very early age, Tesla experienced a range of unusual sensory phenomena, which would later be diagnosed by some as intense hallucinations, or perhaps a form of synesthesia. This perhaps contributed to him becoming very sick during his childhood with a range of maladies, often requiring him to stay confined indoors. While his physical health was fragile at times, this period of illness and sensory experience may have also honed his already overactive imagination, leading him to develop an extraordinary capacity for visualization. He described being able to construct entire machines in his mind, testing and refining them without ever needing a physical prototype, a talent that would become central to his later inventive process. This early environment, a blend of a devout and intellectual father, an inventive and resourceful mother, and a young boy grappling with an unusual internal world, set the stage for the emergence of one of history's most enigmatic figures. The rigid order of the Austrian Empire, the spiritual grounding of the Orthodox Church, and the untamed nature of the Lika countryside all contributed to the intricate tapestry of Tesla's formative years. It was in this fertile, yet challenging, context that the seeds of his revolutionary vision for a world powered by electricity were first sown. The tapestry of Tesla's early life, woven from the intellectual threads of his parents and the rugged fabric of Lika, culminated in his birth. The man known to history as Nikola Tesla was born precisely on July 10, 1856, in the humble village of Smiljan, nestled within the Austrian Empire's military frontier. This specific date and location would forever be linked to the genesis of a mind that would irrevocably alter the course of human technological advancement. His father, Milutin Tesla, was indeed a figure of considerable intellect and spiritual gravitas. A Serbian Orthodox priest, Milutin possessed a razor-sharp mind, graduating with top honors from the seminary in 1845. His academic brilliance was matched by his linguistic prowess. He was fluent in several languages and renowned for his eloquent sermons and powerful rhetorical skills. Milutin harbored ambitions for his sons to follow him into the priesthood, a path he believed offered the greatest intellectual and moral fulfillment. Yet beneath his stern, disciplined exterior lay a man of deep contemplation and a passion for philosophy, traits he would unwittingly pass on to his prodigious son. It was into this household that Duca Mandic, a woman of extraordinary resourcefulness and innate intelligence, entered as Milutin's wife. Their marriage, around 1847, saw Duca, then in her mid-20s, bring not formal education but an acute observational wit and an uncanny memory to the union. She hailed from a long line of inventors and artisans, her own father a priest but her lineage rich with practical ingenuity. Duca was a natural problem solver, capable of crafting intricate tools, weaving complex patterns, and remembering vast quantities of Serbian epic poetry. Her mind, though untutored in a conventional sense, functioned with an almost photographic precision and an intuitive grasp of mechanics. She taught Nikola to find the solution in his head and fostered his early curiosity with her daily demonstrations of practical invention, from improving household implements to designing better agricultural tools. Her influence on young Nikola was profound, grounding his abstract visions in the tangible world of creation. The Tesla household in Smiljan and later in Gospic was a bustling one. Nikola was the fourth of 5 children, preceded by his brother Dane and sisters Milka, Angelina, and Marika. While his sisters were cherished, it was his older brother Dane who cast a long, if ultimately tragic, shadow over Nikola's early years. Dane was everything a father could wish for, exceptionally bright, physically robust, and destined, in Milutin's eyes, for greatness. His sudden death from a riding accident when Nikola was around 7 years old left a devastating void in the family, particularly in Milutin's heart. Nikola often felt that he lived in the shadow of Dane's memory, pressured to somehow fill the space left by his brother's premature departure. This early trauma, coupled with his own peculiar internal landscape, undoubtedly contributed to the developing psyche of the future inventor. Even before Dane's death, Tesla's early childhood was marked by experiences that set him apart. Perhaps because of his overactive imagination, a mind that processed sensory input with an intensity few others could comprehend, he became very sick with a range of maladies. From an early age, Tesla experienced vivid flashes of light, often accompanied by complex hallucinations. These weren't mere childish fantasies. They were intense, involuntary visions that would erupt into his field of vision, particularly during moments of stress or excitement. He described seeing flames of white light that would fill his mind, quickly followed by pictures of things and scenes that were so real he could not distinguish them from reality. A word spoken, a sound heard, or a thought conceived could trigger a cascade of these mental images, often blinding him to his immediate surroundings. This heightened sensory perception was not limited to visuals. Sounds were amplified, even faint noises becoming excruciating. The touch of certain materials could feel abrasive, and strong smells were almost unbearable. These extraordinary sensitivities were not merely an inconvenience, they bordered on incapacitating, leading to periods of intense suffering and withdrawal. He would often have to shield his eyes from bright light, or retreat to quiet, dark spaces to escape the bombardment of his own senses. The illnesses that plagued him during these formative years, fevers, exhaustion, periods of acute disorientation, were likely a physical manifestation of his unique neurological wiring, struggling to cope with the sheer volume and intensity of information his brain was processing. It was a profound and unsettling experience for a young boy. How could he explain to his parents, no matter how understanding, that the air around him was shimmering with light, or that the gentle rustle of leaves sounded like a roaring inferno? These experiences were deeply isolating, fostering in him an early sense of being different, of having an inner world that defied conventional understanding. Yet, It was through these very challenges that Tesla began to develop his extraordinary mental discipline. He discovered that by sheer force of will, he could begin to control these visions, to manipulate them, to even create them at will. What began as a debilitating affliction slowly transformed into a powerful tool. He learned to visualize complex machinery in his mind, testing its functionality, identifying flaws, and making improvements, all without ever lifting a physical tool or drawing a single schematic. This unique ability, honed through childhood suffering, would become the cornerstone of his inventive genius, allowing him to bypass traditional prototyping methods entirely. His extraordinary memory also played a crucial role. From his mother, he inherited an eidetic capacity, able to recall books and images with astonishing detail. Coupled with his visual processing, this meant his internal library of knowledge was vast and readily accessible. Milutin, though initially resistant to anything other than a priestly career for Nikola, could not deny his son's intellectual gifts. He taught Nikola to perform mental arithmetic and encouraged his fascination with mathematics and physics, even as Duca nurtured his practical, hands-on curiosity. When the family moved to Gospic in 1862, following Milutin's ecclesiastical transfer, Nikola's formal schooling began. The change of scenery, from the rustic simplicity of Smiljan to the slightly more urban environment of Gospic, exposed him to new experiences, but his internal world remained uniquely his own. He excelled in his studies, demonstrating a quick grasp of languages, a talent for arithmetic, and a deep interest in scientific principles. His teachers often marveled at his capacity for mental calculation, unaware of the vibrant internal laboratory where his true learning often took place. Despite his academic successes, the underlying sensory sensitivities and the occasional resurgence of his internal flashes continued to shape his development. He was a child who saw the world not merely with his eyes, but with every fiber of his being, a world alive with unseen forces and potential energies. This perspective, born from his challenging yet fertile formative years, instilled in him a profound conviction that the universe operated on principles accessible through diligent observation and imaginative exploration. The seeds sown in the Lika countryside were indeed taking root, watered by his unique internal struggles and nurtured by the contrasting influences of his remarkable parents. The boy who battled his own vivid internal world was slowly, inexorably, becoming the visionary who would one day illuminate the external world with his electric dreams. His early life was not just a prelude. It was the crucible in which the extraordinary mind of Nikola Tesla was forged, preparing him for a destiny far grander than anyone in Smiljan or Gospic could ever have imagined. After these early years, young Nikola Tesla spent considerable time exploring the vast, untamed landscapes of the Eastern European countryside. He would wander through dense forests and along the shores of serene lakes, engaging in demanding physical activities. This immersion in nature was far from a casual pastime. It was a deliberate process of physical cultivation. Through long walks, swims, and other robust exercises, he forged a body capable of enduring the intense intellectual rigors and long hours of work that would define his later life. This period in the natural world, away from strict academic environments, likely instilled in him a deeper sense of self-reliance and a unique perspective on the forces of nature he would later seek to harness. However, these years were not without their internal struggles and moments of deep vulnerability. We know that at one point, Tesla experienced a significant academic setback, a failure he made sure to keep a closely guarded secret from both his family and his classmates. He was riddled with an intense sense of shame and the fear of public disapproval, emotions that many of us can relate to when facing personal defeat. This hidden burden highlights a universal human dynamic, the pressure to maintain an image of success, even when privately grappling with perceived inadequacies. It speaks to the concept of the persona, a term Carl Jung later used to describe the social mask we present to the world, often concealing our true feelings and vulnerabilities to fit societal expectations or avoid judgment. For Tesla, this early failure, kept secret, must have been a crucible for his resolve, forcing him to confront his own self-worth independent of external validation. Yet this very period of concealed struggle also witnessed several other personal and professional triumphs for Tesla, showing his remarkable resilience. It was during these years that he officially began his formal engineering studies, first at the Graz University of Technology in Austria. He demonstrated extraordinary academic prowess, initially excelling in his classes, particularly in electrical engineering. He was captivated by the workings of dynamos and the potential of direct current technology, even as he began to question its limitations. These early successes, while publicly celebrated, were achieved against a backdrop of that private, undisclosed failure, making his outward achievements all the more remarkable. This chapter in Tesla's life, marked by both a secret failure and public successes, offers us early insights into the core ideas that would later define him. We see the genesis of his lifelong pursuit of understanding the fundamental forces of the universe, coupled with an intense personal drive for perfection and a deep sensitivity to criticism. His early experiences with electrical machinery sparked a profound curiosity about energy transmission, especially the challenges of direct current. It was during this time that he began to formulate the revolutionary idea of alternating current, a concept that would challenge the dominant scientific paradigms and eventually lead to a global shift in how electricity was generated and distributed. This willingness to question established norms, born partly from his solitary contemplation in nature and his intense personal struggles, was a defining characteristic of his genius. His time spent observing the intricate mechanisms of the natural world, from the subtle vibrations of a leaf in the wind to the powerful rush of a waterfall, instilled in him a profound appreciation for efficiency and the inherent elegance of physical laws. These solitary wanderings through the Eastern European countryside, far from the stuffy confines of lecture halls or the rigid expectations of society, were not merely periods of intellectual reflection. They were intensely physical experiences. He covered vast distances, climbing mountains, swimming in icy lakes, and enduring harsh weather, inadvertently forging a robust physical constitution that would serve him well during his grueling periods of invention and relentless work. This often overlooked aspect of his formative years, the strengthening of his body alongside the honing of his mind, provided him with the stamina and resilience necessary to pursue ideas that often seemed impossible to others. He drew parallels between the interconnectedness of natural phenomena and the potential for a unified system of energy, imagining currents flowing as freely and abundantly as the rivers he explored. Yet, even a mind as brilliant and independent as Tesla's was not immune to the pressures of societal expectation and personal pride. There was a particular setback in his early academic life, a failure to meet a certain standard or complete a task to his own exacting specifications that he meticulously concealed. This was not a public disgrace, but a private wound, a deeply personal disappointment that he feared would undermine his family's hopes and his classmates' perception of his burgeoning intellect. He harbored this secret with a quiet determination, riddled with the gnawing anxiety that it might one day be unearthed. It taught him the profound lesson that even the most brilliant minds could falter, and that vulnerability, when exposed, could be perceived as weakness. This secret struggle fueled a quiet ambition, a relentless drive to prove his capabilities, not just to the world, but to himself, ensuring that such a misstep would never again define his trajectory. After his initial studies, Tesla's path led him through various technical roles across Europe. He worked for the Continental Edison Company in Paris, where his inventive problem-solving skills quickly became evident. He refined and improved dynamos and motors, demonstrating an innate understanding of electrical machinery that few possessed. It was here, in the practical application of his theoretical knowledge, that the concept of a rotating magnetic field, the cornerstone of the alternating current motor, began to crystallize in his mind. He would famously recount visualizing the entire mechanism, piece by piece, fully formed, during one of his walks in a park. This period, characterized by intensive practical work and a deepening theoretical insight, was a prelude to the revolutionary breakthroughs that would follow. The lure of America, a land of boundless opportunity and burgeoning industry, proved irresistible. In 1884, with little more than a letter of recommendation from Charles Batchelor, Edison's associate, Tesla, arrived in New York City. The letter famously stated, "My dear Edison, I know two great men and you are one of them, the other is this young man." Initially, Tesla found work directly with Thomas Edison, America's preeminent inventor. He was tasked with improving Edison's direct current DC dynamos, a challenge he met with remarkable success. He claimed to have redesigned Edison's DC motors and generators, making them more efficient, and was promised a substantial sum for his efforts. However, this payment, often cited as $50,000, never materialized, with Edison reportedly dismissing it as a joke. This professional betrayal, whether deliberate or a misunderstanding, was a significant turning point, souring Tesla's view of Edison and pushing him towards his independent research. The fundamental disagreement between the two men lay in their differing visions for electrical power. Edison was a staunch proponent of direct current, a system where electricity flows in a single direction. While effective for localized power, DC suffered from significant power loss over long distances, requiring numerous generating stations. Tesla, however, championed alternating current AC, a system where the direction of current flow reverses periodically. AC could be stepped up to very high voltages for efficient long-distance transmission, and then stepped down to lower, safer voltages for consumer use. This ability to transform voltage made AC inherently superior for widespread power distribution, but it was a radical departure from the established DC infrastructure. Undeterred by his split with Edison, Tesla formed his own company in 1886, the Tesla Electric Light Manufacturing. However, his initial financial backers were more interested in arc lighting systems than in his revolutionary AC motor, and he was ultimately ousted from his own company. This was another crushing setback, forcing him to take on manual labor digging ditches to survive, a stark contrast to his intellectual ambitions. It was during this period of struggle that he came into contact with Alfred S. Brown and Charles F. Peck, who recognized the immense potential of his AC motor patents. In 1887, they formed the Tesla Electric Company, providing him with a laboratory and the resources to develop his AC induction motor. The culmination of this period of intense invention was the development of his polyphase alternating current system, including motors, generators, and transformers, which he patented in 1888. This invention laid the complete foundation for the modern electrical power grid. His groundbreaking work quickly caught the attention of George Westinghouse, a shrewd industrialist and inventor who was already a rival of Edison in the gas and air brake industries. Westinghouse recognized the superiority of Tesla's AC system and, in an audacious move, purchased Tesla's patents for $60,000, a combination of cash and stock, and agreed to pay him a royalty of 2.5 per horsepower of AC electricity sold. This partnership marked the official start of the War of the Currents. The War of the Currents was a fierce and often unscrupulous battle for dominance between Edison's DC system and Tesla's AC system, backed by Westinghouse. Edison, fearing the obsolescence of his DC empire, launched a smear campaign against AC, attempting to portray it as inherently dangerous. He publicly electrocuted animals, including an elephant, with AC to demonstrate its supposed lethality, and even secretly funded the invention of the electric chair, powered by AC, hoping to associate it with death. Despite these desperate tactics, the technical and economic advantages of AC were undeniable. A pivotal moment arrived with the bidding for the contract to illuminate the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago. This was a colossal undertaking, requiring the illumination of an entire white city with thousands of lights. Edison, holding patents for the incandescent bulb, demanded exorbitant fees. Westinghouse, using Tesla's AC system, underbid Edison significantly and won the contract. The exposition was a spectacular triumph for AC. Tesla himself was present, demonstrating his inventions, including a Columbus egg that spun on its end due to a rotating magnetic field, captivating audiences and solidifying AC's reputation. The fair was a dazzling testament to the power and efficiency of Tesla's system, a beacon of light that heralded a new era. This period also witnessed several other profound personal and professional triumphs for Tesla. The ultimate vindication of AC came with the monumental project to harness the power of Niagara Falls. After years of debate and various proposals, the Niagara Falls Power Company, influenced by Westinghouse and Tesla's convincing demonstrations, chose Tesla's AC polyphase system to transmit power over long distances. The completion of the Niagara Falls hydroelectric plant in 1896, which sent power hundreds of miles to Buffalo, New York, was an engineering marvel and a global milestone. It definitively proved the commercial viability and superiority of alternating current, officially ushering in the second industrial revolution and forever changing how the world generated and distributed power. This achievement alone cemented Tesla's legacy as one of the most impactful inventors in human history. Beyond the AC system, Tesla's mind raced ahead, exploring new frontiers in electrical engineering and physics. He began experimenting with high-frequency currents and high-voltage electricity, developing the Tesla coil in 1891, an invention that remains fundamental to radio technology and is still used today in many electronic devices. His work with high-frequency currents led him to explore phenomena like X-rays, independently discovering effects similar to those later attributed to Wilhelm Röntgen, neon and fluorescent lighting, and even early concepts of radio remote control. His demonstration of a radio-controlled boat at Madison Square Garden in 1898, years before conventional radio was widely adopted, astonished onlookers and showcased his visionary genius. He believed he could transmit power wirelessly, a grand vision he pursued with fervent dedication, particularly in his later work at Colorado Springs and Wardenclyffe. His laboratory in Colorado Springs, built in 1899, was a hub of intense experimentation with high-voltage, high-frequency electricity. Here, he conducted groundbreaking experiments in wireless telegraphy and power transmission, creating artificial lightning bolts of millions of volts and reportedly detecting extraterrestrial signals, though this claim remains controversial. His ultimate ambition was the world system, a global wireless communication and power transmission network designed to provide free energy to all. This dream led to the construction of Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island, a massive, unfinished wireless power transmission station. Financial difficulties, exacerbated by the skepticism of investors like J.P. Morgan who couldn't see a way to meter and profit from free wireless energy, ultimately led to the project's abandonment and Tesla's bankruptcy. This marked a tragic turning point, as his grandest vision remained unrealized, and he began to drift into relative obscurity, his advanced ideas often misunderstood or dismissed as eccentricities. Despite the setbacks and the personal struggles that often plagued his later life, including financial hardship and a growing reclusiveness, Tesla's contributions to science and technology are immeasurable. He was a man of intense discipline, with a photographic memory and an ability to visualize complex machinery in his mind, often perfecting designs before ever putting them on paper. Yet he was also a sensitive and idiosyncratic individual, known for his germophobia, his precise daily routines, and his profound love for pigeons. He died in relative solitude in a New York City hotel room in 1943, his passing largely unnoticed amidst the turmoil of World War II. However, the enduring power of his inventions ensures his perpetual relevance. Every time a light switch is flicked, a motor whirs to life, or an electronic device is charged, the ghost of Nikola Tesla's genius is present. He not only dreamed of a world powered by electricity, but provided the fundamental blueprints for its realization. His relentless questioning of established norms, his solitary pursuit of revolutionary ideas, and his profound understanding of the universe's electrical heart cemented his place not just as an inventor, but as a true visionary who shaped the very fabric of modern civilization. The legacy of Nikola Tesla is not merely a collection of patents and theories, but the very infrastructure of the electrical age, a testament to the power of an unfettered mind. After the whirlwind of early successes and the dramatic break from his initial backers, Nikola Tesla sought a different path, one that promised him greater autonomy over his groundbreaking experiments. In the vibrant and rapidly industrializing landscape of New York City, he established not one, but two personal laboratories. These were located at South Fifth Avenue, premises that would soon become epicenters of intense intellectual activity and visionary engineering. Within these dedicated spaces, Tesla could pursue his increasingly ambitious projects free from the immediate pressures of corporate demands or the skepticism of short-sighted investors. This period marked a crucial shift from being an employee or a consultant to truly operating as an independent scientific force, driven by his own boundless curiosity and specific theoretical convictions. Yet despite his undeniable genius and the tangible evidence of his alternating current systems illuminating cities, Tesla often found his more far-reaching claims met with a pronounced skepticism. His pronouncements about wireless energy transmission, or the potential for global communication systems that transcended current understanding, were frequently dismissed by many within the scientific establishment and the general public. They saw him as a dreamer, perhaps even a charlatan, whose grand vision strayed too far from the practical and immediately verifiable. Nevertheless, a smaller yet influential segment of society remained captivated by Tesla's insights. These were often fellow visionaries, keen intellects who could grasp the theoretical underpinnings of his audacious proposals, or individuals who had personally witnessed the transformative power of his earlier inventions. They believed in the future he painted, understanding that true innovation often appears impossible until it becomes inevitable, a testament to the persistent human drive to explore the unknown. In this context, securing adequate funding became a perpetual challenge for Tesla, particularly after he successfully patented his magnifying transmitter. This device, a large-scale iteration of his previous coil designs, was intended to send electrical energy and information across vast distances without the need for wires. It was a marvel of engineering, a monumental creation that embodied his lifelong dream of universal wireless power. Yet the sheer scale of such an undertaking required colossal financial investment, far beyond his personal means. Tesla spent countless hours, often fruitlessly, hunting for sources of capital. He presented his blueprints, explained his theories, and demonstrated smaller prototypes, but many potential investors struggled to see the immediate commercial viability or felt overwhelmed by the revolutionary implications of a world powered by invisible energy. This relentless pursuit of funding often diverted his precious time and mental energy away from pure invention, creating a persistent tension between his scientific idealism and the harsh economic realities of innovation. A major turning point in Tesla's career and in his public perception involved his fraught relationship with Thomas Edison. While they had worked together in earlier years, their fundamental approaches to invention and business diverged dramatically. Edison, ever the pragmatist, focused on immediate marketable solutions using direct current, emphasizing small, incremental improvements. Tesla, in stark contrast, was a visionary driven by theoretical elegance and systemic revolution, often pursuing concepts that were decades ahead of their time, particularly with his alternating current system. This intellectual chasm became a symbolic battle, often portrayed as a struggle between empiricism and pure theory, or between the practical application and the grand, abstract vision. The public and the press, already captivated by the war of the currents, watched as two titans, once colleagues, became professional adversaries. Their differing philosophies shaped not only their individual legacies, but also the entire trajectory of electrical engineering, and how society would come to understand the very nature of technological progress, leaving Tesla often feeling misunderstood in a world that favored Edison's more accessible, immediately profitable innovations. The intensity of the War of the Currents had solidified Tesla's resolve to forge his own path, unburdened by the commercial pressures and conceptual limitations he perceived in Edison's approach. It was during this period, concurrent with the escalating public debate over AC and DC power, that Tesla established two personal laboratories in New York. One was initially situated on South Fifth Avenue, later followed by a more substantial facility on Houston Street, each becoming a sanctuary for his prolific mind. These were not mere workshops but crucibles of innovation, places where the theoretical met the tangible in dazzling and often dangerous experiments. Here, freed from the constraints of corporate oversight, Tesla pursued his most ambitious visions, delving deeper into the properties of alternating currents, high-frequency phenomena, and the tantalizing prospect of wireless power transmission. Within the walls of these self-funded havens, Tesla's inventiveness flourished. He experimented with high-frequency alternators, devised new types of lighting, and began to lay the groundwork for what would become his most audacious project, the wireless transmission of electrical energy. His inventions, while groundbreaking, often seem to exist on the fringes of conventional science, sparking a duality of perception. Although Tesla's story, particularly his more radical theories and grand visions for a wire-free world, was discounted by many skeptics, those who clung to the established, visible, and easily quantifiable forms of technology, there were still some influential individuals and forward-thinking engineers who believed him. These advocates recognized the profound implications of his work, understanding that Tesla was operating on a different plane of innovation, one that often outstripped the immediate comprehension of his contemporaries. They saw not just an inventor but a prophet of the electrical age, capable of unlocking secrets the world wasn't yet ready to fully grasp. It was in this atmosphere of both burgeoning renown and persistent misunderstanding that Tesla achieved one of his most significant breakthroughs, the magnifying transmitter. He had constructed a prototype, a colossal coil system designed not just to transmit radio signals, but potentially to send massive amounts of electrical energy across vast distances without wires, a concept he believed could power the entire world. After patenting this revolutionary device, the immediate and pressing challenge became securing the substantial funding necessary to scale his experiments and realize his grand vision. Tesla hunted tirelessly for a source of funding, pitching his ideas to potential investors, many of whom found his concepts too abstract, too far-fetched, or simply too expensive compared to the established, albeit limited, methods of electrical distribution. He spoke of resonance, of the Earth as a conductor, and of energy that could be tapped directly from the planet, ideas that resonated with a few visionary minds but left the majority of financiers bewildered and wary. Meanwhile, the War of the Currents raged on, and Edison, despite the growing acceptance of AC, was not one to concede gracefully. For Edison, the ongoing debate represented not just a technological choice, but a major turning point in his public image and the legacy of his companies. He intensified his efforts to discredit AC, launching increasingly desperate and ethically questionable campaigns to highlight its perceived dangers. This included publicly electrocuting animals and famously advocating for the use of AC in the first electric chair, an act designed to forever associate alternating current with death and brutality in the public consciousness. These tactics, while effective in sowing fear and doubt in the short term, ultimately backfired in the long run, earning Edison a reputation for ruthlessness. However, they succeeded in making the public wary of any electrical innovation that strayed too far from the familiar, impacting investors' willingness to back Tesla's more radical proposals. The battle between the two titans had fundamentally altered the landscape of electrical engineering. Edison, with his pragmatic, iterative approach focused on immediate utility and commercial viability, continued to command significant financial backing and public trust, even as AC technology gained dominance. Tesla, on the other hand, operating with a far more expansive, theoretical, and often seemingly fantastical vision, struggled to translate his genius into sustained commercial success. The financial world, increasingly risk-averse after the tumultuous war, favored tangible, incremental advancements over paradigm-shifting leaps. This disparity in resources and public perception created a formidable obstacle for Tesla. Despite securing the backing of influential figures like George Westinghouse for his AC motor patents, which had been crucial in ending the war of the currents in AC's favor, Tesla's subsequent, even more ambitious projects found it difficult to attract the consistent capital required for their development. His vision of global wireless power, in particular, was seen by many as utopian and impractical, especially when compared to the tangible, albeit complex, infrastructure of wired power grids that were rapidly being deployed. The cost of building colossal structures like the Wardenclyffe Tower, intended to be the central pillar of his global wireless power system, was immense, and the return on investment seemed too distant and uncertain for conventional investors. This struggle for adequate funding became a persistent theme in Tesla's life, a cruel irony for a man whose inventions promised to revolutionize the world. His profound insights into electromagnetism, his understanding of resonant frequencies, and his conceptualization of the Earth itself as a massive electrical conductor were decades ahead of their time. He could foresee a future powered by abundant, free energy, but the practicalities of financing such a monumental shift proved insurmountable. The public, still reeling from the initial shock of widespread electricity and the negative campaigns of the War of the Currents, often struggled to differentiate between genuinely revolutionary science and speculative fantasy, making them susceptible to the prevailing narratives that favored more conventional, controlled, and monetizable applications of electricity. Tesla's personal laboratories became more than just workspaces. They were battlegrounds where his genius fought against financial constraints and societal skepticism. In the quiet solitude of his labs, surrounded by humming dynamos, sparking coils, and intricate glassware, Tesla continued his relentless pursuit of knowledge, driven by an unshakable belief in the potential of his creations. He sought to unlock the very secrets of the universe, to harness its energies for the betterment of humankind. Yet, the echoes of the War of the Currents and the enduring legacy of Edison's commercially driven pragmatism continued to shape the perception of technological progress. The world seemed to prefer inventions that offered immediate profit and tangible, if limited, benefits, often overlooking the profound, long-term implications of Tesla's more ambitious, world-changing endeavors. This enduring contrast in public perception and financial backing became a defining characteristic of Tesla's journey, forever tying his brilliant trajectory to the very different path carved by his former mentor and lifelong adversary. In the 1920s, Nikola Tesla remained deeply fascinated with human psychology, a subject he explored not just academically, but through his own extraordinary experiences. He often spoke of his unique sensitivities, describing how he perceived the world with a heightened awareness that extended beyond what most people considered normal. His profound understanding of the human mind, he believed, was intrinsically linked to his insights into the very nature of energy and existence. For Tesla, observing human behavior offered a different lens through which to understand the subtle forces, including electromagnetic phenomena, that he felt coursing through all things. He was not just an inventor of systems, but also a keen observer of the internal systems of thought and perception. Around this time, a company began to use Tesla's name as a marketing ploy, producing scientifically built speedometers. This commercial venture was entirely separate from Tesla's direct work, yet it exploited his widely known identity. He protested this appropriation, recognizing that such a use cheapened his scientific reputation and diluted his serious contributions to the world. We can see here the classic tension between an individual, his authentic intellectual pursuit, and the relentless drive of commercial interests to commodify any recognizable figure. The company saw a name, a brand, while Tesla saw his legacy being distorted for profit, an uncomfortable reflection of how easily public figures can lose control over their own image once it enters the collective consciousness. 2 years later, however, in 1917, Tesla's individual efforts would finally receive a notable recognition. He accepted the Edison Medal, one of the most prestigious awards in electrical engineering, from the American Institute of Electrical Engineers. This honor carried significant weight, particularly given the long and complex history between Tesla and Thomas Edison himself. It marked a public acknowledgement of Tesla's profound and lasting contributions, a moment of official validation after decades of often overlooked or controversial work. The award represented a turning point, not in his financial fortunes, but in the public narrative surrounding his genius, finally placing him among the pantheon of electrical pioneers. This recognition, however welcome, did not entirely erase the shadows cast by earlier financial entanglements, particularly those involving J.P. Morgan. Morgan's decision to withdraw support for Tesla's Wardenclyffe project had been a pivotal moment, shaping the course of Tesla's later career and preventing the full realization of his most ambitious ideas. The legacy of this halted dream, a vision of wireless energy transmission for the world, remained a powerful undercurrent in the story of Tesla's life. It serves as a stark reminder of how the grand visions of innovators are often constrained, or even entirely undone, by economic realities and the specific interests of powerful patrons, leaving us to wonder what more could have been achieved had the backing continued. Yet, even as the grand ambition of Wardenclyffe receded into the realm of what if, Tesla's mind continued its ceaseless exploration, not only of the physical universe, but also of the intricate landscape of human experience. He was a man deeply fascinated with human psychology, a subject he observed with the same analytical rigor he applied to electrical phenomena. In the 1920s, a period often characterized by rapid social and cultural shifts, Tesla frequently shared his unique experiences and observations on the human condition. He spoke of the profound influence of subconscious thoughts, the power of suggestion, and the often unseen currents that guided collective human behavior. He believed that understanding these psychological forces was as crucial to societal progress as technological advancement, perhaps even more so, as they dictated how technology would ultimately be adopted or rejected, used for good or ill. Tesla often reflected on the nature of empathy, suggesting that a deeper understanding of one another's inner workings could bridge divides. He meticulously documented his own mental processes, including his famous ability to visualize inventions in perfect detail before construction, a form of mental prototyping that blurred the lines between imagination and reality. He saw the human brain as the most complex and powerful device in existence, capable of transmitting and receiving information in ways we were only beginning to comprehend. His insights, often shared in interviews or personal notes, sometimes bordered on the philosophical, touching on the concept of a universal mind or a collective consciousness, hinting at a broader interconnectedness that he felt acutely, perhaps amplified by his own heightened sensory perception and intuitive leaps. These reflections offered a rare glimpse into the mind of an inventor who viewed science not just as a means to manipulate the physical world, but as a path to understanding the very essence of existence and human interaction within it. He was intrigued by how belief systems shaped reality, how mass movements could be swayed, and how the environment profoundly affected individual and collective well-being. This keen interest in psychology served as a counterpoint to his more tangible engineering pursuits, revealing a holistic thinker who sought to understand the why behind human endeavors as much as the how of his own inventions. Ironically, while Tesla himself delved into these profound psychological inquiries, his very name was becoming a powerful psychological tool in the burgeoning world of marketing. After the Wardenclyffe setback, as his direct involvement in large-scale industrial projects diminished, his reputation remained immense, a testament to his earlier groundbreaking achievements. It was not uncommon for companies to capitalize on this. For instance, in a striking example of leveraging celebrity for commercial gain, a company in the interwar period prominently used Tesla's name as a marketing ploy to sell what they called scientifically built speedometers. Despite Tesla having no direct involvement in their design or manufacture, his name, synonymous with futuristic technology and precise engineering, lent an aura of scientific credibility and cutting-edge innovation to the product. The implication was clear. If a device bore the name of Tesla, it must embody the highest standards of accuracy and advanced design. This practice underscored the public's perception of Tesla as a visionary and a genius, even as he himself was often grappling with financial instability and the challenges of pursuing his more unconventional ideas. It also highlighted a growing trend in the commercial world where the mystique of a great inventor could be commodified, his intellectual capital indirectly monetized by others, sometimes far removed from his personal pursuits or endorsement. These speedometers, likely employing standard but well-engineered mechanisms, gained an undeserved but powerful psychological advantage in the marketplace simply by invoking the name of the man who had electrified the world. This served as a stark contrast to his earlier life, where his name was intrinsically linked to his direct creations, demonstrating how his legacy began to transcend his physical presence, becoming a brand in its own right. Despite the commercial appropriation of his name and the ongoing struggles with funding his most ambitious visions, Tesla's individual efforts and his undeniable contributions to the field of electrical engineering did not go entirely unrecognized. 2 years later, in 1917, after much deliberation and widespread support from the engineering community, Tesla's singular genius would be acknowledged when he accepted the prestigious Edison Medal. This award, established by his former employer, the American Institute of Electrical Engineers, AIEE, to commemorate Thomas Edison's accomplishments, was a bittersweet honor. It symbolized a reconciliation of sorts with a past marked by rivalry and ideological differences regarding AC versus DC power. Tesla had initially been nominated for the award in 1916, but he had famously declined it, citing his long-standing friction with the institution and perhaps a lingering resentment towards Edison himself. However, prominent figures in the engineering world, including his staunch supporter and friend, B.A. Barrand, lobbied intensely, persuading Tesla to reconsider. They argued that accepting the medal was not an endorsement of Edison personally, but a recognition of his own monumental contributions to science and engineering by his peers. When Tesla finally accepted the medal at a ceremony in New York City, he delivered a moving speech, not of triumph or vindication, but of reflection on the arduous path of an inventor. He spoke of his inspirations, his struggles, and his unwavering belief in the potential of science to elevate humanity. The citation for the award specifically lauded for his meritorious achievements in the invention of polyphase system and high-frequency currents, directly acknowledging the very innovations that powered the modern world. This public recognition was a powerful affirmation of his enduring legacy, providing a moment of respect and honor amidst the often turbulent backdrop of his later career. It was a testament to the fact that, regardless of financial setbacks or the practical limitations placed upon his grander visions, the fundamental brilliance of his work had irrevocably shaped technological progress, securing his place as one of the most important inventors in history. The Edison Medal, though named for his rival, solidified Tesla's own legendary status in the annals of electrical engineering. It was a moment where the world, through its leading scientific institutions, collectively affirmed the profound impact of his ideas and inventions, transcending the personal dramas and financial woes that often shadowed his life. The event itself was a significant affair, drawing leading engineers and scientists, all eager to honor a man whose ideas had truly revolutionized the way humanity harnessed power. It was an acknowledgement that, despite his often solitary existence and his increasingly eccentric public persona, his core scientific contributions were beyond dispute and fundamentally transformative. Looking back at the trajectory of Nikola Tesla's life, particularly through the lens of his relationship with J.P. Morgan, one is struck by a profound irony and a powerful lesson in the intersection of genius and capital. Morgan, the titan of industry, embodied the very forces of economic reality that both enabled and ultimately constrained Tesla's most ambitious dreams. Without Morgan's initial backing, Wardenclyffe Tesla's world system might never have moved beyond theoretical blueprints. It was Morgan's capital that provided the initial thrust, the belief in a vision grand enough to warrant significant investment. Yet, it was also Morgan's pragmatic, profit-driven perspective that halted its full realization. For Morgan, the investment needed a clear return, a tangible means of monetization, which Tesla's vision of free, wireless energy for all did not provide. From a modern standpoint, Morgan's decision can be seen as a quintessential example of how the relentless pursuit of profit, while a driving force of innovation, can also stifle breakthroughs that promise universal benefit but lack an immediate, exploitable business model. Tesla, in his idealism, struggled to reconcile his vision of a better world with the exigencies of commercial enterprise. Morgan, on the other hand, was operating within the established framework of industrial capitalism, where control and revenue were paramount. The final thoughts on Morgan reveal him not as a villain, but as a representative of the system that simultaneously nurtured and clipped the wings of innovation. His actions, while devastating to Tesla's ultimate goal, were entirely rational within the context of his business empire. He provided the opportunity, but when the projected returns didn't align with his financial strategy, he withdrew, leaving a void that Tesla could not fill alone. The legacy of this halted partnership is immense. It forces us to ponder the countless other grand visions that might have been realized had financial backing been sustained, or had the economic models been more aligned with societal benefit over individual profit. Morgan's decision at Wardenclyffe serves as a stark reminder that even the most brilliant minds are often dependent on the patronage of those who control capital, and that the future of humanity's technological progress is frequently shaped, not just by scientific discovery, but by the prevailing economic philosophies and the specific interests of powerful individuals. The story of Tesla and Morgan is a powerful narrative about the eternal tension between idealism and pragmatism, between a vision of universal good and the realities of commercial viability, leaving us to forever wonder about the world that might have been, had the financial currents flowed differently. It underscores the profound impact that a single financial decision can have on the trajectory of human progress, making Morgan an indelible, if often controversial, figure in the narrative of Tesla's life and the history of modern technology.